So Brog, in addition to being Margaret's Torah, he is also collecting for some Chashav Yingler Avrechim in Eretz Yisrael. Donation.
My Rabbi trained, took me in under his wing when I was a bacher. Started partnering with him to raise money for families that he felt were loimdei Torah, mitay chatchak, extremely esteemed families who were not the type to go raise funds for themselves. And he asked me to become a partner with him. And as the years went on, the program built up. And a number of years before he died, he said, Rabbi, I already started going, I was already giving by that time money to his families every Rosh Chodesh. And Eretz Yisrael would give me a kish every Rosh Chodesh plus Yom Tov. Then he gave me a list of 70 families. It took him a few weeks to put it together. He said each one is a good investment. And today we have between 70 and 90 families. And it's started off with a $3,000 a month, a Yom Tov program. And today it's between $300,000 and $400,000 a year, Baruch Hashem. And it's miraculous how I feel it's a very, very special schus. You have some, and whenever I hear the top name, like recently we added Mosey Sternbuch's grandchild, Rabbi Choshev Yingelam, Rabbi Asher's grandchild, Super Talmud Chacham, and so many others. Just outstanding people, and Baruch Hashem considered a very, very big schus. So on Purim, my yeshiva goes all over the country. We don't raise money for the yeshiva, we raise money for these people. From LA to Toronto to Chicago, and Hashem has shown us Atzlacha beyond human imagination. And Baruch is going out collecting a Purim with 1,000 groups, and everybody says it sounds like they're more the same thing. It's the same thing, same thing. Some people look depressed and say, "You don't collect for yeshiva?" I'm surprised. No. Rambam says the biggest mitzvah is Taras Legranim. That's what we dedicate our Purim to. But without Hashem, take care of the yeshiva. But it's a big source of pride to me that Hashem gave. My grandfather did the same thing. He used to make part of people in his shul with the biggest tzaddikim in Yerushalayim. He would have each family send money every month. It becomes your family. It's your connection. For next, till you die, you take care of them. It's amazing. When I met some of the biggest tzaddikim in Yerushalayim, they said, "We know your grandfather." I said, "How can you know my grandfather? He was never in America. He was never in Eretz Yisrael. And you were never in America." He said, "We have a kesher with him." And that was the kesher. He made a tremendous kesher. Let me think. Purim is the time when we celebrate in a very excited manner, not just our appreciation. We express our simcha in an outwardly manner, and we try to get fired up and excited about the simcha. Well, many people don't exactly know what am I exactly being sameach for what happened then. What we're getting excited about, we're trying to get excited about, is that we became aware that no matter what level a Jew is on, he could have fallen to such bottom where it's already decreed upon him death. He already forfeited his right to exist in this world anymore. And the Malachim are against him. He has all the deck of cards stacked against him. And Hashem was forced to stamp the final. You can get out of it. Hashem's still on your side. We still have somebody on our side if you could reach out there. So today's the time that you express. I believe that most people had some experience with a child, parent, sibling, relative who went through something very difficult, and sometimes they were zeicha to make it through that. And today is the day you express that simcha. When I sing V'nahapachu and Purim, I'm not thinking just of what happened to Mordechai and Esther. I think about many episodes that happened in my life where Hashem made V'nahapachu. And Hashem turned things around for me, and I never get to express it out loud. I never get to sing and scream about it. I'm very thankful about it, I'm very appreciative about it. But today's the day you drew l'chaim and you dance. Hashem turned it around. And if a person is mechazik himself in that awareness that you have the power to turn something around, there's nothing like it. And this is my message. You know, somebody called me up. I get calls, maybe 30 to 40 calls a day. And the ones who get through, usually they're not calling to tell me that they won the sweepstakes or they had some great mazel. Usually they call me and tell me they're at their end of the road, about to go over the cliff. Could you help me? And I said, sure. Just recently a fellow called me, mamish, cancer and this and that. I said, you're going to get better. I said, how do you know? I said, because you called me. I said, do you think that Hashem does not know my message? My message is a message of hope. I'm not the doom and gloom man. Now you go to other people. They say, I'm sorry, lay down and relax and make peace with your maker. And I'm a fighter. I tell people, you gotta fight back. There's hope. And Hashem knows I'm gonna tell you that. You know how many people don't call me? You know how many people don't get through to me? Thousands and thousands. You got through. And you heard me tell you this. And I know that's what Hashem wants me to tell you. And if Hashem wants me to tell you this, that means there's hope for you. No matter what you think your situation is, it's plenty of hope. One of the great things I had in my life was that my younger days when I only had like maybe 6 or 7 kids, there was one Erev Shabbos in the summer. We lived in the house with my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law became an almana. Where Shiva died, and she asked us to move in with her. But she asked us to move into the basement. The basement was a very small basement. I couldn't wear a hat in the basement. When they built it, they didn't build it deep enough. That was a mistake. But they didn't build it deep enough, and I had to always take one around without my hat there. And my mother said, could you move down there? I said, I'll move down there for you to make a almana. Give her some life. It's worth it for me to crawl in my basement. I'm going to do it. My wife was masking. Moved down there. I had all my kids there, 12 kids out in that basement. People would come and say, why don't you move upstairs? I said, it's a good question. The answer is my mother said, in fact, I know it's the right thing, I should move down. But the only vestige that I have from my husband is the same bedroom, the same home. If I would move downstairs, I would lose whatever I had. So we lived in the basement. People would come to my house and they'd say, you got a kitchen in your office? It was a tiny little kitchen. I can't explain it down what tiny kitchen. I said, I live here. No, you don't live here. People don't live here. I used to have guests every Shabbos, packed. And kitchen, my wife used to cook bika chaylim for the whole Cleveland in that tiny kitchen. But 28 years I lived down there. And so as my kids got older, they moved upstairs with my mother-in-law. So the older ones slept upstairs. But they slept on top of each other, 3 bunk beds. There was no room in that place. But that's how it was. And I was very happy. But one Erev Shabbos, one of my older daughters was giving my younger daughter a bath. And I don't know what happened exactly, but somehow the hot water got on and the cold water was turned off and she was cooked in the bath. And by the time I came running upstairs, I took one look at my daughter and I saw that the whole skin on her body had peeled off. I never in my life ever saw such thing. I never wanted such a thing again. It looked like she was in a balloon. There was no holes in it, but she was just totally, if the skin comes off, you get cooked, comes off your body. And I started to scream to my wife. My mother-in-law wasn't home then. It was a summer, people were away. And I told my wife, just grab the baby, you take it to the hospital, I'll get the things home in order, and I'll follow you. Get the kids taken care of, and I'll follow you. My wife jumped into the car, and she jumped on the highway. The cops stopped her, and they called an ambulance. And I settled the kids in by neighbors, this and that. I followed her. I came to the hospital. It was a high-level trauma burn unit in Cleveland, Ohio. We have helicopters coming, bringing it to the major unit. And I walked in there, and a doctor came out. His name was Dr. Bob Girding. Remember Guy? And I said, what's the story? He said, your daughter's not going to make it. Yeah, I said, no chance at all? Maybe 5% chance. I said, doctor, I'm going to tell you something now. You may not be happy to hear. But listen to me. Don't ever, in my presence, play God. When you went to medical school, you know what they taught you? How to cure people. You know what the Bible says? Rabbi, you Rabbi. You know what that means? And you shall. Are you a Bible man? I said, ever studied the Bible? I said, I looked at it. So you should heal. Don't ever play God. When you pronounce my daughter's not going to make it, that's God's territory. And besides, I'm a rabbi. I'm closer to that territory than you are. So I'll stay out of your turf, you stay off of my turf. He said, oh, I understand, you're agitated. I said, you don't understand anything. I'm to you like a guy on a different planet. I know where you come from. You have no concept of where I come from. We may look similar, but that's where the similarities stop. I said, just remember this. Don't ever again play God in my presence. And he said, oh, okay. He didn't say, I said, I'd like to see my daughter. He said, you can't see your daughter. I said, what do you mean? He said, she's like screaming. I said, you know why she's screaming? How many doctors? There's 11 doctors right now working with her. I said, I want to go in there. So we're trying to move her from the trauma unit up into the ICU in the upstairs. I said, let me show you how it's done. I said, I'm a rabbi. I was much younger then. I was a kid. I was 30 years old then. But I went into the burn unit, and I put my eyes over my daughter's face, and I said, Devorah, look in Tati's eyes. Look in my eyes. I said, look in Tati's eyes. And her eyes locked on mine, and she started to calm down. And I said, Devorah, Tati's with you now. Tati's with you. I said, let's get going, guys. Guys, let's start moving. And they started moving the bed, moved it out of the room, into the elevator, up to the 3rd floor. And I hear the guy saying, the doctor saying to the other doctors, how's he doing this? How is he doing this? Afterwards he asked me, how'd you do that? I said, that's the power of God. I'll tell you first lesson. I'm going to introduce you to a living God that's right here with us. Anyway, I went home for Shabbos. My wife stayed there. I took care of the kids. And I said, soon as Shabbos over, come back. Much of Shabbos I called up. My daughter was still alive. And Baruch Hashem, she lived. I go back to the hospital on Sunday. I went with Shabbos. I met the guy Sunday again. He tells me, you got lucky. He said, no. So let me teach you something. You know about prayer? So you never took a course in how you prolong life. You don't even know who controls the levers of life and death. You've never taken a course in that. How could you even try to begin to offer up an opinion? You don't know. Life and death is in the hands of God. I'm trained to study God, how he works, his inner workings, what he says to do, what he doesn't say to do. I respond to what he says. I said, that was prayer. You saw the power of prayer. And anyway, he said, you're not getting out of the hospital for another year. I said, that's what you say, huh? Okay. And your daughter's going to have at least 40 grafts. It's going to be surgeries after surgeries after surgeries. And I said, don't you ever learn? I said, don't you ever learn? Are you so stubborn? I said, what are you talking about? How would you possibly know the future? How could you talk with me in the future? Only God knows the future. What kind of arrogance do you have? Kids, sir, I went to the hospital. I made a tumult in that hospital. I was of one doctor who was together with a shiksa. I told him, get rid of the shiksa, you're going to end up in the bed over here with my daughter, you understand? And the guy became from with her, so I have to learn. It's and I walked out of that hospital 3.5 weeks later with my daughter. My daughter had one graft the size of a dime at the bottom of her foot. And the doctor said to me these words, I am truly humbled. I have never had a learning experience like I did in the last month. I'm so humbled, I think I have to go back to school. I said, what do you need to go back to school for? They're not going to teach you in that school. You're going to have to go to a Jewish school to learn about what God does, what God says. That you're not going to teach you. So it's not going to help you, I said, my friend. He was so blown away today. He walked me out with the whole 11 doctor staff. It was a big hospital, all to my car, to put the kid in the car, Mamish. He said, it was a pleasure meeting you. He went to my address. And then I was caught then. I had Blue Cross and Blue Shield from New Jersey. And I had just switched to Ohio. And I was in the 30-day period of no insurance. I got this bill for like $350,000, a crazy number. And I went to the hospital and there was a doctor's bill. And he writes me a letter, he says, in lieu of what you taught me, I've seen you were caught without insurance. I'm going to drop my bill out of, I've got the fancy word he used, not respect, he meant to say respect, to $600. I said, my daughter, of all my daughters, has the softest skin. My daughter says, Todd, don't say that. I said, why not? It's a plus. It's not a minus. I said, see, I'm Pella. That was Misa L'chaim. I saw it. I saw it. I think and I thank Hashem for that. I could have buried my child Motzei Shabbos. And it should have. But Hashem said, no, it's not true. If you know, and I'm here, if you know that I'm with you, if you know that I'm prepared to work with you, people say, maybe I don't deserve it, maybe I'm not zeicha. I said, the Yidden in the story of Purim, they weren't zeicha either. But Hashem says, turn it around. Turn it around. That's your choice. You have the ability to turn things around. No matter what. I had so many stories I could tell in my life. I said, I believe Hashem gave me these stories. Like I said, I never heard somebody have so many stories. I had a kid, a son of mine, had one of the worst diseases you could imagine of a human being. It's a death sentence, and I had a friend that had it for 24 years, and then he died. And I was in Yeshiva in Lakewood, and they called me from the high school, like something like Shemayim, because I had a doctor, I was Makarev, in the Cleveland Clinic, who moved to Lakewood. And Yeshiva pulled him to that doctor. The doctor diagnosed him. He said, oh no, it's bad news. Very bad news already. He called me up, Rabbi, come here. So what are you saying there? I don't want to say, I don't want to say. I don't want to say, just come here. Then he called me in the middle of the road, go straight to the hospital, Robert Johnson in Edison. And I went there, and my daughter was undergoing a whole battery of tests. And they gave us the prognosis. His son has multiple sclerosis. He's not going to make it. He already has, it's advanced, and he already couldn't walk on his foot, and his eye was couldn't see with one eye. They said, take him back home. I said, no, he's going to continue in yeshiva. I said, my son said to me, Tati, he walked out of the hospital, Tati, is this my death sentence? I said, Rabbi, everybody's got a death sentence. It's one thing that's guaranteed. Everybody's got it. It's not your death sentence. We're going to fight. All my life, you know, I was working on bitachon and amunah. All my life. You know why? For this moment. I'm telling you, I'm going to be. He said, but Ty, you had a friend. He said, my friend didn't listen to me. My friend went all over the world to try to cure himself. Crazy, expensive Chinese, Japanese, wherever they offer snake oil, snake venom. I said, that's not what we do. That's not what we do. I said, we're going to go the right way with Hashem. I said, the fact that I know medicine can't help you excites me. Because I know there's no status. I have to go straight to Reifei Chayle Amo Yisrael. That's who I'm going to. And Hashem's going to be the one to help me. And Hashem's going to help me. I have no doubt about it. Hashem knows that I turned to Him, and I'm going to turn to Him. And we did. And I told her that we went to a big institute in Cleveland, and I told the doctor, she said, it's all the people in the waiting room? That's what your son's going to look like shortly. I said, Doc, I have different plans. I have other plans. He says, what's your other plans? I'm going to a bigger doctor. You know, you're not the biggest doctor in the world now. I know a bigger doctor. He said, what's the doctor's name? I said, Hashem. He said, what? Is that Arabic? Hashem? I said, no. I said, Hashem. I said, it's the Lord who created you and me. And He's the healer of all. And I'm going to turn to Him. I happen to have a line with Him. Not everybody does, but I do. And I'm going to use that line. Then I have a communication with Him. And 6 months later, we came back for an MRI. The symptoms my son had at that point were advanced, so they thought. Came on was so strong, he's already way gone. The symptoms went away in 2 weeks. And his foot got better, his eye got better. He came back in 6 months for the MRI to check your spine, and there's spots on the spine. There was less spots. She told us, expect in 6 months it's going to be double. And there was one less. He said, that can't be, can't be. I said, Doc, I told you, I know a bigger doctor than you. And my son got less and less. And my son today is in his 30s. He's got 4 kids. He runs around, he jumps around. He runs the whole Ura, he runs. And there's no history, there's no zecher, no mention of this thing. I told my son, Hashem did it. Hashem showed us. I can't tell you how many people who have that illness called me over the years. I said, is it true that you have? It's true. There was a lady from Lakewood.